Darkcast Network, indie pods with a dark side.
Hi, this is Jenna.
And this is Kelly.
You're listening to ODFM.
This episode is one Divan from Murder. Okay, so I said that too, but this is kind of a European story again. So
European or I'm a peon or
yeah, well, European for sure.
European. Wow. Okay. See, we learned so much from this. My vocabulary is getting better and better, but it's like when Joey only got the V version of the encyclopedia, and he only got smart with V things
V's?
Because he only was able to.
We're only getting smart with the D's.
Yeah, my vocabulary is only growing by the letter D. It's not. Nothing else is getting better.
That's right. At least something is.
Right.
Okay. So a divan is a term used for a style of bed. So overseas, it's what we would typically describe as a bed frame. Here, like ours is very boring. So like my son's, so my son has like one of those underbed storage type ones. They just call them divans. So theirs are much more fancier than sounding than a bed frame.
Right, like where they have a duvet and we just have like a blanket.
I know. I've got a cover.
When we have a cut, right. Do you have any more covers? I have a duvet.
Well, you're just fancy then.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and since this word comes up some in the episode, I figured, well, we'll probably never need to use that word again.
I can't imagine it ever coming up again.
We're not like aching to use divan. Right. I've been waiting.
We're going to have so many bed frame stories coming up now. We're going to be like, son of a bitch, we used it.
I could have used divan so many times.
All right. Tell me all about this divan.
All right. So, because we traveled to Holland last time, and I was like, why not stay in Europe? And we'll go to London, England.
We got a theme. It was like when we were doing the whole transportation thing. And we did like cars and planes and boats.
And trains. Right. Yeah, we did it all.
Trains. You're right.
Now it's Europe.
Now we're touring Europe.
Yeah. We're seeing if they can have as good murders as us, and they do have some.
They have to catch up with Oregon and Florida.
Yeah.
Can they?
I don't
They have
know
a longer history to be able to.
True. We can pull from like the very early ages, where here we only have a few hundred years on it.
Right. Okay.
So. We're going to London on August 10th of 2011, so not that long ago.
That's pretty recent. All right.
It's late afternoon, and staff at the Radisson Edwardian Hotel.
Snooty.
But they're concerned when 3 of their fellow staffers are over an hour late for their shift. 3!
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, usually we're talking about this one person being late. Like, oh, crap, they're late. We better go do a well check. No.
Or like 3 people late, but it's like within 5-10 minutes. Like after an hour, you're like, well, now we're really short-staffed. This is a problem.
Yeah, this is bad. Yeah, and it was about an hour. So they'd been trying their cell phones, but each one would just go to voicemail. Everyone, nobody's picking up. And it's out of character for every one of these employees. Like, you usually have one, like you, Jenna, who's late all the time.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Who's late all the time. But these people were all on it. They're never late. It's obviously weird.
Yeah, for me, they're like, give her another hour. She might still show.
It's true. She might be here.
She might still show.
None of them are picking up, and it's out of character. All 3 are not ones to not show up for a shift. So police are notified. And they soon arrived to look into this odd missing persons case.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, weird that 3 are gone. So
wait, they're already doing a missing persons case? It's been like 2 hours? Like here, we have the right to go missing for like 5 days.
They'd be like, those people are probably off partying together and just playing hooky.
Just give them some time.
No, they're more concerned about their people. Here they're like,
nice.
He probably died. Yeah, so...
Have you checked under the manure?
Have you unplugged your phone and plugged it back in again? Yeah, all the things. So 2 of the missing employees live in staff housing behind the Radisson Hotel. So these apartments are pretty exclusive, and they're only offered to like the cream of the crop employees that are really, really good.
Oh, well, that's not fair. No wonder they're on time. I had to go through rush hour traffic. There's a difference.
True. They had to go through rush hour walking traffic.
Right. They had to just cross the street. That's not fair. Of course they were already on time.
Yeah. So it makes it even more weird that they're not.
Right.
The police go to the apartment and they enter into a horrific, bloody scene. Like, as in, immediately, as soon as they push the door open to the apartment, there's blood everywhere.
They're not coming in, you guys. They're not coming in.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to hire new people, everybody. So directly in the living room, they see the body of a woman. She's fully clothed. She's laying on the floor on her side, and she's been stabbed 22 times.
Ooh, that's overkill.
Yeah, really bad. So her face is also covered by a pillow. So past the woman's body, they see a trail of blood leading to a back bedroom. Like, oh, shit. Who's going back there? Right. Bill's it your turn. Oh, I don't
paper, scissors.
I don't want to be the one.
Right. Oh, God.
So they follow the blood trail into the back bedroom, and they discover the body of a man. He's nude, and he's lying on his back on a bed with his knees bent.
Okay.
I know, like he's on his back with his knees bent up. Kind of like he's getting a pap smear. We know how that is. That's terrible. God. I'm sorry. That's terrible.
Oh, but it's, I mean, I have the visual now.
Yeah, now you can see what it,
I got it.
So he has also been stabbed, but he was only stabbed twice. But both the stab wounds were directly into his heart. So it's like, yeah.
Yikes.
Oof. So the two bodies are identified as 20-year-old Alice Adams and 20-year-old Tibor Vas. These are
only 20. God.
They're only 20. And these are two of the missing employees. So the scene is brutal and the deaths are super violent. So the police are thinking, okay, these are very personal killings. This is somebody they probably know. There's no sign of forced entry, and it didn't look like the place was ransacked or burgled or anything. But they could also tell there had been a party the night before. There's like alcohol everywhere and some drugs. So they find empty bottles, glasses around. So they're like, okay, clearly there was something going on here last night. There was some sort of celebration. And because the pillow covered Alice's face and she had that frenzy of stab wounds all over her body, police are like, yeah, I think she was probably the focus of the attack. Like someone was very angry.
I don't know, man. That guy had like very deliberate, straight to the heart.
Yeah.
I mean,
good point.
Yeah. Okay. But all right, that's where they wanted to go with it.
Maybe you should be on this case. So, just saying. Someone was super angry, and they think they probably covered her face after the attack because of maybe feeling guilty or not wanting to see the victim staring at them after what they had done. That's kind of the psychology. I was thinking maybe
they did it to kind of like block her screams.
Ooh.
Because 22 stab wounds to me would be like, okay, she didn't die right away.
Right. So
it was a struggle.
You would think.
But interesting. Okay, right. So it could also be the whole guilt, we don't want to see her face thing.
Right. Don't want to look at her. But she's laying on her side, too, so that's kind of odd. As for Tibor, his killing isn't any less disturbing. So because of the lack of blood pooling around the Divan bed that he's laying on, it's apparent he hadn't been killed there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he'd been taken there. But they do see on the couch that there's a ton of blood on that in the living room. Okay. So Alice is on the ground. She's not on the couch. But the couch is covered in blood, and they can tell where Alice is. That's where she was killed.
Gotcha. Okay.
They think Tibor was killed on the couch.
And then carried into the bedroom and obviously posed with his knees up. Weird.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. He had marks on the lower of his back to show that like he'd been dragged, across kind of a scratchy surface.
Yeah.
Like carpeting. Yeah. And they also noticed the blood, this is weird, that was on Tibor was actually diluted a bit with water. So they thought, okay, somebody washed him. They actually cleaned him up and maybe even bathed him. So they're like, this is odd. And then he's placed on the bed and posed, like you said.
Yeah, I feel like he's a little bit, there's more focus there. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, there's a little bit more.
I respectfully disagree.
Good job, Jenna. I think you should be a detective.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah,
I should.
I think we should have our own. I mean, this is why we have our forensics kits and why.
Except we both get fired for making inappropriate comments on the flippin' scene.
Very true.
At the scene.
Absolutely, we would. Weirder still at the scene was that though the victims had been viciously attacked, there weren't defensive marks on them.
Oh.
So like you thought, like, okay, there's a struggle. Why is she?
Yeah.
But there's no defensive wounds. So they're like,
there's really no reason for 22 stab wounds. She wasn't fighting back.
Right. So they're thinking, okay, were they too intoxicated because of the drugs and the booze, or were the attacks so sudden that they didn't have time to react? Okay. You wouldn't think, since there's two, that could happen.
Yeah.
But they also find several bloody knives all around the apartment. So,
jeez.
I know, you don't just go with one. You got to go with several. Wow. Maybe they got a little dull in the process. I don't know.
Gross.
I know. They had the weapons, at least, and they can test those.
Okay.
So when police are studying the scene, they're taken with a kind of like revelation. There's so much blood around the apartment, as in like pools you couldn't avoid walking through, that they were shocked when they saw outside of the apartment, like literally where this door stops, there is not a speck of blood past the door of the apartment. So they're like, how the hell did the killer get out of this apartment without spreading something outside of the door, touch something? So they're super stumped. And so they decide, okay, we got to look into why somebody would kill these two. So they're going to look into their past and who would want to. So Tibor, the male that was found on the bed, he'd been raised in Hungary with rather humble beginnings, but he had big dreams for a successful future where he could help his family. That was his goal.
Oh.
I know, sweet kid. So he was an accomplished musician who was especially great at piano. Oh. And when he was just 15, this is sad, his life was drastically altered when his father died unexpectedly. So,
oh, God. That's a very tough age to lose your dad.
So hard. Yeah. And so suddenly he's thrust into being the man of the house, basically.
The man of the house, yeah.
And his mother was struggling so hard to make ends meet. He's willing to do whatever it takes to try to get their life back on track. In 2008, when he's 17 or 18, he applies to attend the University of Budapest, but he's turned down and he's super sad, but he's not one to give up. So he's not one to give up, and he makes plans to reapply the next year. And in the meantime, he's like, I'm going to go to London, find a more lucrative job than I can get in Hungary, because Hungary doesn't pay as well. So
gotcha. Okay.
That's when he gets a job at the Radisson Edwardian Hotel. Okay. And it's also really close to Heathrow Airport. So it's totally bustling environment. One of those hotels that are never not busy. It's just great. Tibor, natural for his position. He's a receptionist and host at the hotel, and he really loves his job. Like, he is great at it. He's super friendly, outgoing. He makes friends quickly. And everyone who meets him likes him. He's one of those, the typical, you walk into a room and light up the room type of stories.
Man, if that's your personality type, you are just that much more likely to get killed.
Yep. It happens every time. You're murder fodder.
Very rarely do you hear, he was kind of a jerk. Or, I don't know, man, he was really boring. Like, you just don't hear it.
You don't. This guy's amazing. It's always amazing people. He made a bunch of friends there when he started that job. And one of those friends was the other victim, Alice Adams.
Okay.
Alice, she's a local there in England. She'd grown up in a nearby town. I think it was like Berkhamshire or something. It's like one of those really long.
End in that, yeah.
Yeah, they got to add shire to everything. So she was also a receptionist and host at the Radisson, and she'd only been working there a few weeks.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah. But as soon as she started working there, she hit it off with Tibor. She was also a musician. And because of this, she and Tibor had bonded over their love of music. They would often do jam sessions together and stuff.
Oh, for sure.
She was also known for her great sense of humor. So we already love her.
Yeah.
She was friendly and guests, as well as Steph. Just Steph, that random
Steph really liked her.
Steph,
have we looked into Steph as a suspect? Have we looked into her yet?
I'm just adding her into this episode. Don't know if she existed, but now she does. No, she was loved by staff and guests.
Okay.
Yes. So she was working at the hotel to save up for money for an upcoming family trip to Hawaii.
Ooh.
Yeah, and she's super excited. The pair had something to celebrate, she and Tibor. Alice's upcoming trip, and Tibor had reapplied to the university in Hungary and had been accepted.
Oh, okay. So this was a celebration party that they had.
This was a celebration.
They hit it hard, too.
They hit it really hard. They were in it. And Tibor planned to leave for school on August 30th. of 2011. So it was just 3 weeks before he was planning to leave.
Jeez.
I know.
Okay.
And it was right before Alice was scheduled to go to Hawaii. So it's not fair that they were killed. So police go and talk to their coworkers. They find out there indeed was a party and that many of them had been there. The party was to celebrate Tibor's accomplishment of getting into college, and everyone had been drinking. Alice played the guitar. There was singing involved. They were having a great time.
Sounds like it was at least their last night was a
good one.
Yeah.
A fun one. True. And they claimed everyone's having a good time. Nobody was fighting. They didn't know what happened when they left. They said when they left, the only ones left at the apartment were Tibor, Alice, and Tibor's 31-year-old roommate, Attila Ban.
Like the Hun?
Yes.
Attila? Okay. I just don't hear that name very often. So.
Right. It's not super popular in America, but maybe over there.
Sorry. Okay.
So Attila, he's the manager of the hotel they all work at.
Okay.
And he's also the other missing employee, the third missing one.
So he was a roommate with his boss? That's a little uncomfortable.
I know. Right. You would think so, right? That's what I thought.
Especially if you're going to show up late, man.
Well, that's why he wasn't ever late.
Well, and then at the same time, it was like, well, if the boss is late, I mean, what difference does it make? As long as I walk in with him, I mean, it's all good, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. They are suddenly searching for this missing man. They're like, there is no sign of him. No one's seen him, and calls to his cell phone are still going unanswered. And police, so they tried to search for his phone, and they do get pings off of it. And it shows it's still on, but that it's still near the hotel. So at least it's got to be around here. They can't find it, though, or Attila. Anywhere. It's bizarre.
And he's probably got it on silent, so you can't freaking call it.
You don't listen for the vibrate.
No.
Where is
I do that all the time. I'm going around my house. I'm telling the kids, shh, everybody be quiet. Do you hear anything?
I do that, too, because I never have mine on, basically. I know. So coworkers describe Attila. He's friendly. He's a likable guy. They all got along with him. And like Tibor, he's from Hungary. So that's kind of cool. But his home life hadn't provided much love like Attila's, or like Tibor's had. He'd been terribly abused. He was raised by his grandparents. And his decision to leave Hungary was due mainly to being gay. And that is just not that acceptable there in Hungary.
Okay.
So Attila had traveled initially to the States, and he did fairly well here. He gained invaluable experience in the hospitality line of work, and he was accepted and wasn't treated poorly just for being gay.
Yeah, good.
That was a relief, and his life started going a lot better. So he decided to move to London after he'd gone to visit, and he loved it there. He got a job at the Radisson, and he was so good at it that he climbed the work ladder super quickly.
Jeez, okay.
Became manager. So
good for him.
I know. So since you know how it is getting in the manager position, sometimes you're like, yes, I want it. And sometimes you're like, oh,
no, you don't.
I got to take care of other people now.
Right. He's come a long way from the Huns. He's really made something of himself.
They just killed people to make them comply. He didn't have to use a whip.
Right.
Since he was such a model employee, the hotel gave him one of the coveted and exclusive staff apartments to live in.
Wow.
And these were so rarely offered up that getting one of these was like a huge win. So they didn't even have to offer these up. They were just like, oh,
okay.
You're kind of fucking amazing. So we want to give you everything we can to keep you around.
Okay.
When Tibor had come on staff and began working for Attila, the two quickly became friends due to their Hungarian roots. Attila took Tibor under his wing, and he taught him all the ins and outs of the hotel industry.
Made sure he got there on time.
Exactly. Get your ass there on time.
Right. Okay.
So Tibor had been living in kind of a bleak, dingy pad. Yeah. Okay. So Attila, since he liked Tibor a lot, he's like, hey, man, well, why don't you come stay with me? You can live in my apartment. I have an extra room. So he did. And when Alice had started, Attila had also shown her the ropes when she started working.
Okay.
And they became friends. So the whole trio of them were really good friends. They're always hanging around with one another. And since coworkers had placed Attila at the crime scene, and because he wasn't around now, police are like,
oh, suspect.
Could he have done something with the other two? But they need to
they had to find him first.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're like, why would he have wanted to do it? what would his motive be? Because they were all really good friends. It's not like they're rich or anything. What's going on?
Yeah.
So with Attila still missing and the police unsure of where to find him, they decide to focus on the other information they could dig up. So they pull Alice's cell records. And they think she may have been the original target, with how brutally she'd been killed. They discover in a series of texts that had taken place in the wee hours on the mornings after the party.
Okay.
And the texts were between her and her former boyfriend. So Alice and Tad, this ex-boyfriend, it's such
Tad.
I know. Like, I think it makes me think of Barbie dolls for some reason. Like, this is my boyfriend, Tad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Or Clueless. Something like along those lines. Alice and Tad, the ex-boyfriend, had been together for a good amount of time, but they had only recently broken up, so it was still really fresh. He had moved away to college, and even though they were broken up, they're still in the early stages, and they still seemed to be kind of considering whether they wanted to be together or not. And Alice had texted something a little bit snarky, maybe to make him a little jealous. She said, I'm in bed with my manager, and Tibor was here, but now he's in the bathroom throwing up. So I don't know why she gave that detail.
She went from sexy to puking. That's really weird.
But he's going to be back and it'll be really sexy.
Yeah, it's not as sexy when your manager's gay. It doesn't really, but I see how she left that little tidbit of information out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to leave that open right there. We're in bed together. But he's gay. But we're in bed together. So they're like, maybe the ex-boyfriend, like you said, isn't aware of that. And he's not going to be so thrilled to hear she's sleeping with her manager or another man, albeit a gay one. But they wonder if Alice is trying to make him jealous, and it results in Tad driving down there and confronting.
How far away was this college? Obviously not that far. Because I thought maybe they broke up because there was like, well, I'm going away to college and this long distance deal, but that doesn't seem very long distance.
Right. If he could make it within that night.
Right.
Yeah. So, in fact, when they do lab samples taken off of Alice's body, it does show DNA from both men all over her. And to me, that could be like, is that just touch DNA or is this?
Right.
But the way they made it sound was there were more, maybe it was from secretions of some sort or something.
Oh, okay. Because otherwise it was just going to be the drunk hugs and the I love you. No, I love you.
No, let me lick your boob. No, let me lick your boob. But yeah. It was.
What kind of parties are you going to?
They're not like that? Oh. I actually don't go to parties. So
this is just what I imagine happens.
I thought that's what happened, and this is why I don't go. Because I'm like, I don't want to lick boobs.
I hate to burst your bubble. Just kind of like, I'm sorry to tell all the guys out there that every girl's sleepover does not have a pillow fight.
It's very true, and we don't like play in our underwear and wrestle.
Right. We're not in our underwear, and there's not feathers everywhere.
It's true. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so the boob licking probably didn't. I don't know. So police are convinced because of the DNA on her that all three of them had gotten a little randy and they were having a threesome.
Okay.
Yeah, they tracked down Tad to see if he has an alibi, and he is able to prove one, and he does live pretty far away. So, like you said. But they're still not convinced, and they're like, they get a search warrant. I mean, they have a lot more control, it seems, over there than we do.
Okay.
Here, so they get a search warrant. They are sure that if he had done anything, there would be some drop of blood on him, right? Or on the clothing or something. So they go through all of his clothing, all of his shoes, all of his apartment belongings. Mm-hmm. There are no hints of blood on anything.
Okay.
He's
pretty clear.
He's pretty clear. So they catch up to another coworker, and this one says, hey, I got something you might want to look into. So they show police a Facebook post from Attila Ban that had been posted about 7:30 in the morning after the murders.
What time were they supposed to be at work?
They were supposed to, it wasn't until like 3 in the afternoon.
Okay, so it wasn't like a morning shift.
Right.
Okay.
Right, so they could have still had time to sleep in and everything.
Gotcha. All right.
And it still could have happened past that time. But the post said, quote, I'd like to wake up from this nightmare.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So staff were like...
He, as a gay man, did not like licking boobs.
Want to wake up from this nightmare.
What have I gotten myself into?
I cannot Forget it. Wake me up. Yeah, so staff, they know him well. He's like, this is totally out of his character. He's upbeat. Yeah. He would not post something negative like this.
Right.
You know, this isn't him. So they're also told about a rumor circulating at the hotel that Attila had a crush on Tibor, like a big time crush.
Oh, that makes being roommates that much more. I mean, forget the fact that he also reports to him.
Yeah. Really uncomfortable. And plus, there's a huge age gap. But then again, you're both grown-ups. Tibor's not gay. And Attila is super aware of it. But that didn't...
I thought you were going to say Attila is super gay. Like, I thought you were going to be like,
he's so gay. I mean, he's not just kind of gay. He's way gay.
I thought you were going to say he's super gay. Okay.
I don't know how gay he was. I'm assuming just gay. But...
a normal level of gay.
Normal level of gay. Just... I almost said straight gay, but that's, you know, straight weird. That doesn't make sense.
Middle of the road gay. Gotcha.
Middle of the road gay. Yeah, I don't know. Attila's...
I can't stop laughing. A scale of 1 to 10, he was only a 5. Gay.
He was middle of the road. Attila is very aware that Tibor's not gay.
Okay.
But it doesn't seem to dash his hopes of picking up something in the future. Like,
okay.
He's hoping to get him to switch sides.
Switch teams?
Yeah, switch teams. But coworkers say that actually Attila seemed to be pretty obsessed with Tibor. Oh. Like, they say that, in fact, the time leading up to the attack, the men's friendship had kind of become strained because of it. Ooh, Attila felt like Tibor and Alice are getting really close and starting to leave him out of their activities. So,
well, they do have a couple other things in common.
Right.
Besides music.
Right. Could like each other, maybe. So there was one day that Tibor had planned a staff photo and he didn't invite Attila, who's the manager.
Ouch.
Yeah. So when Attila saw it, it was like he was so hurt. So that pretty much sucks. And as Alice and Tibor grew closer and started leaving him out, Attila was getting more and more jealous. And coworkers knew that he was worried that the pair were striking up a romance. I know. So it's this love triangle.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Love triangle happening. But there's still no trace of him. So on hotel and apartment surveillance video, like they have surveillance everywhere. I mean, it's near the airport and everything. There are no sightings of him leaving after the party or anything. So police are theorizing, okay, maybe he jumped out of a window to like a fire escape or something, you know, like had gotten.
Yeah, right.
He parkoured.
Parkoured out.
Or that maybe he stashed a clean pair of shoes outside the apartment so that he wouldn't track blood outside, like planned it.
Wow, that's some serious pre-planning.
Right, and that wouldn't explain how he avoided all the cameras, or being sighted. I mean, he was well known in that area, being part of the staff. Portal. They didn't think of the portal issue. Yeah, they didn't think of that. But they did go in there looking for a crawl space. They're looking like up in the ceiling tiles. Like, could he have gotten...
He's hiding in the walls?
They're like, where could he have gone? How did it go? You know, they're even searching the floorboards. They can't figure out where this guy's gone. But they didn't find anything. And it had been 2 days and there's still no sign of him. So forensics teams, they're like, okay, we're going to return to the apartment, have another look around for more evidence that might have been overlooked, like detail. When they return, they immediately know something's different. Like somebody's been in there. Oh. There's a bottle of alcohol that had been moved and they had locked everything down.
Okay.
Like, they're going, what happened? Bottle of alcohol had been moved. Medications were also in a different spot than when they left. You know, they're like, something's weird. And then they're worried that some like asshat had broken in and ruined the crime scene after hearing about the incident because it's on the news and everything. So they're
right.
Like,
and they're like, well, there's a party. There might be some drugs still there. We can, you know.
Right. Some dickhead. And then they see the door to the back bedroom was closed. And they knew they had left it open following their usual procedure.
Oh.
So they're like, oh, shit, what's behind that door? They attempt to open it, but something heavy's blocking it.
Oh.
But they eventually force it open, and they find a bed had been pushed up against the door.
Whoa, okay.
What the fuck? Yeah. They get in, they find a nude man laying face down
on
the bed. A new one. A different one. They're coming through the portal.
What?
They're coming through the portal.
You don't normally find new dead people at a crime scene. Usually just the one time.
Right. They're just new ones arriving. This one just arrived. So he's nude. He's laying face down on the bed Tibor had died on. Oh. And it's Attila. I know. They check him. They're assuming somehow he's another victim, but he's alive.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's either drunk or drugged, but he's unconscious. He is out, but he's alive. He's caked in blood. He's got cuts.
Where the dead person was?
Yeah.
Oh, he's hurt too? Okay.
Mm-hmm. He's got cuts on his wrists and neck. He also, this is weird, he has an X-Acto knife stuck in his arm and another stuck in his butt cheek.
What?
Just,
what?
It was a crafting disaster.
Wait, what?
I don't know.
I mean, I've done like mock-ups and stuff, and I've stuck myself and cut things with an X-Acto, but...
Me too. Never in my butt
was always
cheek.
safe.
Yeah, I never quite ever got my butt cheek. I almost got a toe. I definitely got fingers.
Right.
But yeah, he got his butt cheek somehow. So he's taken to the hospital and treated, and police are baffled as to how he could have made his way back into the apartment. Like, how did he get... There were swarms of cops, there's detectives, there's looky-loos.
Or he never left.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep, like, they kind of thought. They're like, how would he have gotten out? So at the apartment, police go through it. They're going through with a fine-tooth comb this time. They're like, we will figure out how he was here. They had missed this important but tiny detail. Underneath the bloody sheets on the divan bed, they notice a thin cut along the side of it, the base. They pull it open to find a space big enough for a person to fit in. And they realize Attila had been there all the time.
Oh.
I know, the whole time he'd been hiding in the bed base. Is that not freaky? They didn't check under the bed. Ah!
You gotta check under the bed.
I know, but
I mean, but
it's
it was
inside
a base,
the bed,
so
and
it wasn't like a
inside the bed. I mean, you wouldn't think to.
And usually somebody wouldn't be under. Well, and there was a body
inside
on top,
it, right?
So how would they have put the body on? Right. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
But, okay.
Mm-hmm. So he had cut a little slit in the side, and it was so thin, like X-Acto knife thin, that he had like weaseled his way in, and they hadn't seen it. But this is the same bed that that Tibor's body had been discovered on. Attila had cut tiny peepholes, like little tiny peepholes, so you could watch the investigation going on.
Get out.
So creepy. And he'd collected a little survival kit of sorts. Like, he had a water bottles, a knife, and his phone with him in the divan.
So that's
where the phone had been the whole time.
That's why it was pinging there.
Yeah.
Did he have a second bottle for peeing? Like,
he had peed and defecated under there the whole time. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. So after he's treated, he's arrested and questioned, and he refuses to speak a word at all. So police are unsure, like, are you being a dick, or did his mental state completely...
Right. Could he...
could he not... Was he mute? They're like, did he have a complete mental break and kill his friends, and now his mind is some faraway locked part of his brain?
God, okay.
So he keeps his silence for several weeks, like, won't speak a word.
Weeks.
But then eventually, I can't either. I'd be like, oh, I'm sucking at this game.
Right.
But after a few weeks, he does open the floodgates, and he tells police everything that he can remember. He says the celebration party was for Tibor, and it was his chance to try to convince Tibor to be with him.
He's leaving anyway.
Okay. I know. Plus, he's straight, and it's kind of hard to get someone to change over.
Tiny little detail.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible to get someone to... Of course, maybe he's hoping maybe he'd be by.
Right, I know.
So he said that he'd brought poppers for the party in hopes of loosening up their inhibition. And poppers, I don't know much about drugs because I'm
just picturing those things that you pull the string and the
the confetti comes out. You know, these are a type of drug popper, I guess. So
those really don't loosen anyone's inhibitions. That just scare me.
Whee! Oh, I am so loosened now. These are actually drugs. They're commonly used in sexual trysts as it helps create euphoria and enhance sexuality. And I did read that it can loosen the sphincter or anal.
Okay, but doesn't it also loosen it for
pooping?
Anything?
For shitting? I don't know. Okay. So, who knows? Okay. So he said they did engage in a threesome.
Okay.
And that's all he remembers.
Oh.
He claims he'd woken up the next morning to the bloody scene and realized that he must have done it, but he swears he had no memory of it. Like the drugs and alcohol. Boom. That's what he swears.
But he still thought that he did it?
He still figured he did it. Wouldn't you wake up and be like, what the fuck happened here?
Right.
Who did this? Here?
Right.
But somehow he knew he did it. So I'm not really sure I believe that he doesn't remember it.
Okay.
So he tells, this part's messed up.
Oh, boy.
Okay. And suicide warning here for anybody, too.
Okay.
Because this is brutal. He told how he had run a bath, planning to kill himself by slitting his wrists. He had brought Tibor's body into the bath with him because he did not want to die alone.
But he was already dead, so
you're already alone.
Kind of. I know that doesn't really.
So when he attempts to cut his wrists, it fails, and so he tries plugging in a hairdryer, turning it on, and dropping it in the water to electrocute himself. But the hairdryer just continued to work underwater. So then he had a spa.
What brand is that?
I know.
Damn, that's impressive. He had a spa.
Now I have jets. So, I know it's terrible to laugh about trying to commit suicide, but it's...
and that surprises me because I read somewhere, I don't know, it was one of those stupid things where like things that Europeans find weird about America. There's a lot of places in Europe where they don't have electrical outlets inside the bathroom.
Really?
For that reason. They think it's weird that we do. And everybody here was like, well, how do you do your hair and stuff?
Yeah.
They just don't do it in the bathroom. They have to do it at like a mirror, like at a vanity.
A vanity.
Or something.
Yes.
Right. So not only did it work really well underwater, it must have had a really long cord. So it's impressive.
That's true. That's a good point. So he cleans up Tibor's body and he places him on the bed and he got into the bottom of the divan. So after he's like, just rest here, I guess. I can't kill myself.
I don't know what to do, so I'll just chill here.
I'll just get under here. So after the police and forensics units left the apartment, he crawled out and he tried to slit his throat and stab himself with X-Acto knives. I don't know why I wonder if it had fallen off and then he fell asleep and...
He rolled in it?
Yeah. He rolled in the X-Acto knives and I don't know.
That's why you always put the cap back on.
Yeah. I always leave it as a cap, so it sucks. So Attila is charged with murder, but he wanted only to plead guilty to manslaughter on the basis of diminished responsibility, saying that he had accepted that he killed them, but he had no memory of it.
But how is that? That's diminished memory. That's
not exactly.
Diminished responsibility.
You're still responsible for it.
You need a dictionary.
Maybe they didn't have one in the divan. He didn't bring his dictionary under there with him.
But yeah, in the hotel, there's a Bible, but there's no dictionary.
There's no dictionary, so I couldn't come up with that.
I mean, maybe manslaughter because it wasn't premeditated.
Right. But
I don't know. It's Europe, so it's different.
Who knows? Yeah. But he wanted to claim he had like a total break in his sanity and that actually had caused him to kill them and that he didn't, wasn't responsible. On July 9th of 2012, Attila stands trial for murder. And prosecutors say that he was obsessed with Tibor and that the drinking and drug-fueled party didn't lead to Tibor having a life-changing sexual encounter. So Attila got really pissed and he snapped. And that jealousy and anger at the potential of the blossoming romance between Tibor and
So he
Alice,
was really mad at both of them.
Right. Turned him into a frenzy killer, basically.
Right.
His defense argued that he had suffered a mental breakdown, and they even had Attila take the stand in his own defense.
No. You don't do that.
That's happening.
Bad idea. Have we had any story yet where that worked favorably?
No, not yet. Maybe there is one, but we haven't found it. So he winds up bursting into tears on the stand, telling the jury there's no way he would do something like that to his best friends had he been in his right mind. However, his testimony came off like an over-the-top theatrical performance. just wasn't believable. So
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And they're like, no, you'll suck at acting. So the prosecution argued that since he had the presence of mind to create a bunker and a divan,
right?
It showed he
had supplies. He made peepholes.
Yes, it showed he had the awareness to make a plan to hide, and that he could figure out. He was trying to figure out a way to get away.
He knew he did something wrong.
Yeah. So on July 18th of 2012, after 5 hours of deliberation, that's all. Attila is found guilty of the murders of Alice and Tibor, and he's sentenced to a minimum of 26 years in jail.
For both of them, though?
For both,
It still doesn't sound like a lot.
I know.
Okay.
So he'll be considered for release when he's 57, so he'll still be kind of young.
That's still...
Pretty young. So that is the story of the dude that hid in the freaking bed. It scared the shit out of me. Like, that's like the guys that hide in the walls. And killing your own best friend.
Every time I go to a hotel, I'm going to have to check that, too. Damn it.
Knock on the side of it. Hello. Hello.
But he's not going to answer. You have to smoke him out or something. I don't know.
Right? Smoke him out with farts. Of course. Duh.
Right. So finally, they're just like, oh, God, just... Oh.
What did you eat? God damn. Taco Bell again?
Oh, my God.
So did you want to hear my sources?
Dang, yeah, please.
BBC.com, of course. Independent.co.uk. crimeandinvestigation.co.uk. TheGuardian.com. Daily Mail, the UK version. And the TV show Vengeance, Killer Coworkers. Monster Under the Bed.
Sorry, that's funny.
Yeah, it's probably how I say it. Yeah, but there's a whole show of Vengeance, Killer Coworkers, and it's pretty amazing.
Boy, am I glad I work from home right now.
Right. Your coworker might be your pets, but...
yeah, right? Oh, man, that was a good
Isn't that
one.
Wild? Weirdness.
God, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. And, it's so sad he had so much going for him. All three of them did.
I know, all three of them did. I still want to know the brand of that hairdryer, though. I mean...
Maybe you could write him.
I'm telling you, like, mine only lasts a couple years tops.
That's a good dryer. Yeah.
All you gotta do is drop it on the floor once, and it's like, oh, I need a new one. This one works underwater.
Right.
Although I don't know how well it dries hair underwater, because that seems kind of pointless, but...
But it makes a lot of bubbles. Well, thanks for listening to another episode.
Thanks, everybody.
Make everyone listen. All right. See you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM, hosted by Kelly DeVries and Jenna Swanson. Production and editing by Kelly DeVries. Theme music by Eric Swanson. ODFM is a satirical true crime podcast for entertainment purposes only. The stories you hear are serious and true. The comments and opinions are not. We apologize if any of our content is harmful or disrespectful.
Hey Oddies, thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM. If you're a longtime listener, hey, we cannot thank you enough for your continued support. And if you're a new listener, thanks for giving us a try. If you like us, please drop us a like, subscribe, or rate us so we can share our stories with more people around the world. And if you'd like more information, like links to our podcast and socials, along with our Patreon fan page, those links are all on Linktree under ODFM Podcast. That's linktr.ee/ODFM Podcast. Side note, you guys, we're obsessed with fan art, and we love making things with it, like stickers for our fans. So if you'd like us to use your designs, send it to us at odfmpodcast@gmail.com. And if we use your design, we'll be sure to send you a sticker.